everyone. Welcome to SportsKhabri. With me are Adi and Rishi. And the agenda for today is to discuss some of India's worst captains. I know this sounds very odd and very weird, but that's the conversation that's happening around social media. That's the conversation that a lot of pundits are having, especially after Rohit Sharma's recent performances as India's Test captain. It has been underwhelming. Just looking at him in the field, it has been underwhelming from a batting perspective for him. He yeah just again just not looking great, in general for him, because the numbers aren't great either. So there's probably a conversation to be had. It's an interesting one. Is Rohit Sharma India's worst ever test captain of the modern era? And when I say modern era, I mean again the captains we've seen in action. So considering that, let's look at the recent captains: Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, and before that, Anil Kumble. Probably, again, it would be really harsh to judge Anil Kumble because he barely captained India.
How are
And
we not considering only modern era because you don't want Rahul Dravid in this conversation?
bro, I am down for anything, bro.
Huh?
I have my last captain to win in England. I mean, it doesn't matter. But anyways,
I
Rohit Sharma.
mean,
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like on a serious note, it is pretty concerning. It is concerning time if you're an India fan, because there's a lot of chat around Rohit Sharma. Now, you're a Mumbai Indians fan, Rishi, and you've seen Rohit Sharma for a while. Were you happy when he was appointed first as India captain? And second, do you think he is India's, like, off late, he has been India's worst captain?
Dude, I mean, first of all, franchise cricket and national team captaincy, especially when it comes to formats, like different formats, it's an entirely different thing, Like from a Mumbai Indians perspective, true. Like when he took over our captaincy, we were pretty much in the trenches. Like I think Mumbai Indians hadn't won a game that season, and from there we went on to win the IPL, and we've consistently tasted success. We've probably, like, along with Chennai Super Kings, we have been the most successful IPL team. But then again, IPL, you have a lot of factors in, right? Of course, in game, what you do, that is pretty much down to the captains. But then again, it has a lot of factors surrounding it, like your franchises, how you approach, like your scouting department, because we have produced talents consistently. We've had players like Pandya, like Bumrah come through the system quite often. And we've always had world class bowlers, we've always had world class all rounders. And when you have all that, your job necessarily doesn't become very easy, but then again, it becomes, you get a little bit of boost, and that is enough to make a difference. Because imagine going into a season, you have two experience, not just experience, like two world class bowlers, say like either Trent Bolt or Bumrah, or Malinga and Bumrah, and that's pretty much 8 to 10, 8 overs, and then you have in the middle also 4 overs coming from a spinner. So pretty much you have your depth and power play sorted. And then you have Pollard, you have batsmen like coming in and rescuing you a lot of times. So I feel that all these factors distort what the captaincy factor is a little bit. But then
Mhm.
again, like how the situation had panned out for the Indian team, it kind of did seem like Virat was running on empty fuel, like empty tank. He was also, he, if not him, at least the team needed something different, or he certainly needed a break. And at the time, it did look like, okay, we needed to go in another direction. But in retrospect, was it the right direction? Was it the right choice? I don't know. Like the way I feel our biggest concern is, okay, even if we win games, we have right now the quality of players, but it's just that we don't have that energy. We don't have that drive that we used to have in our previous teams. Like we used to have far, say, in the sense that we weren't the clear cut favorites all the time, but we at least matched them when it came to like drive to play. I feel that is one aspect that has significantly dropped. And I think like the biggest concern is that while Virat in his early stages of his captaincy career, he had to face, like, we were pretty much the underdogs then. I think pretty much till halfway through Virat's test career, like India has always pretty much been underdogs, like especially when we're going away. Like at home, we've been comfortable, we've managed to see through opponents, but I feel whenever we toured, we were always the underdogs. Like if we
Yeah.
drew a series, it was pretty big news. That switched under Virat. But then again, now that we've come back to Rohit Sharma, I feel that we've lost it again. Like we've come back to a team where we're most of the time we're bullying teams at home, and then when we go away, that is like that is completely gone back. Like we've regressed back to the team that struggles when we tour.
Okay, so just quickly numbers on Rohit Sharma. Okay, he's captain 22 games, took over in 2022. He's got a 54.54% win record. He's won 12 out of his 22 games. He's lost 8. Now the numbers, while they are not insanely bad, I think the worrying part for Rohit Sharma is that most of his games as captain have come in India. And they have not come in tough conditions. He hasn't gone to England yet as captain. He hasn't gone to. This is his first tour in Australia as captain. Let's remember that. He hasn't gone to New Zealand. So effectively, he hasn't gone to the places where you would expect captains to lose, right? And he's lost already 8 test matches. I think that is very worrying if you're a Rohit Sharma um fan, or if you're backing Rohit Sharma as captain. The fact that he's got so many matches at home, um, or say non-SENA countries, and you're already at a 54.54% win record. If he goes on to lose this Australia series, it will definitely drop below 50%. So there's a lot like sort of going on for him. Um, just to give you some context, under Virat Kohli, we won 58.82% of our matches, but under Virat Kohli, we did go to tough places. Like Virat Kohli did well in England, a place that we've consistently done badly. Um, did all right in South Africa, did all right in Australia, won in Australia the first time he went there. So a lot of good things under Virat Kohli. Haven't seen that under Rohit Sharma, especially away from home. And then before him was MS Dhoni. Of course, he struggled heavily, um, in foreign countries. He's got
But
50
again,
point.
was it this bad? I feel the scenarios were a little bit different. We had a whole aging team that needed to be
So
transitioned.
exactly, which we'll
And
get
I
to.
think like I
Yeah.
think this is the first time we whitewashed Australia in India. Like I don't think that had happened before. Like I think that happened under MS Dhoni also. Like I think he has done a little bit better, I feel.
It's interesting. We will have that conversation. Adi, what do you think? Da? Like, I mean, I'll give my take on Dhoni and as well. Like, but yeah, again, just in terms of this debate, where do you stand?
Well, see, the thing is, when we took Virat out as a captain and we got in Rohit Sharma, it was firstly a decision made by BCCI, because I remember when Virat stepped down as a T20 captain, it was something personal and it was his decision. And then, they had to, appoint another captain, and, naturally, Rohit Sharma became that guy. And then that debate came where BCCI were like, no matter what, we can't have two different sets of captains. Like, we want one captain for all three formats, right? They were like, we can't have a white ball a captain differently to your red ball. And that's why Rohit Sharma, naturally succeeded. Virat and became the Indian Test captain. 2 years down the lane, now we have two different white ball captains and red ball captains. Even though Rohit Sharma's retired, I think it's still prove that you can have two different captains in different formats. And when the thing is, when Rohit Sharma became the captain of the test side, it was not like Rohit Sharma was a starter for the test side. Over the years, he's never been a sure starter. He's never gone toured rigorously in your senas like Australia, like South Africa, like England, New Zealand. He's really never traveled throughout his career and played enough test cricket there, unlike Virat Kohli. Uh, Also coming to his form, he was declining. His age was declining. We all knew he would retire maybe in 2 3 years when he got the Test captaincy. You look at the rest of the players. Virat was very young when he was the captain. Dhoni was in his era of getting that captaincy. He was also young. Even when Dravid had a lot of time in his career to play. Even when Sachin became the captain, he still had a lot of cricket to play. So like you look at all those players when they were coming in as Test captains, they had time to play. They knew like if it worked out or not, they had a plan that okay, these guys can lead it, and they're the best players in the country right now to play Test cricket and lead us there. But with
Hmm.
Rohit Sharma, it was always that he never played Test cricket at all. Even when he came and played in Australia in 2020, he was because of it was basically like a replacement. We needed that guy because we didn't have other players out there. He came into the Test team over his career. That's how it's always been. He's never had a serious spot in Test cricket. He's never played it seriously, and now you're in the situation where when you're making him the Test captain, you have to play him seriously every Test game. You have no other choice. And when that happens, I feel like that's where the clashes become. Because, for example, if Rohit Sharma never became the Test captain, I don't think he would have been playing Test cricket right now. Like, I seriously, for sure, don't think he would have been playing right now.
Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
think there would have been another player opening in the place of Rohit Sharma. Maybe Rahul would have had more chances opening, or whatever. Like, the top order would have been much different. But we have a scenario where you can't drop Rohit Sharma because he is the Test captain, and him playing the test him playing Test cricket is a difficult thing. Like, if a guy is not able to dominate Test cricket as a Test captain, I think you naturally have a, like a hindrance there. It's like a clash of the player versus what he can perform in Test cricket. If he's not able to do it well, you really can't have an upside there as a captain where like you can sustain him as a captain for a long time. I really don't think I've ever seen successful captains not able to play format, well. You look
Yeah.
at all the captains who've already always succeeded, they've always had good Test careers. Like, that's one thing you need. And with Rohit Sharma, it was never there. And him becoming the captain on the short term basis, it was okay because I really feel like, as you said, we always played Test cricket at home, like against Australia, against England when he won. It was a game where we played at home. It was to our strength. We had good players at that time to play. But overall, it was not because of Rohit Sharma's captaincy where we won, or it was not because of Rohit Sharma's, performance where we were against the back and we were able to dominate those games. You look at the games against New Zealand, for example. I think that was literally embarrassing, like to the extent of even on the last Test series where you could have won, you're only chasing 154 and you had 10 wickets losing that game. I think a lot of it comes down to a captain not being able to dominate that format, not showing the same interest or same capacity in that format. And you can see it slowly affected the team. Maybe not in the beginning, but over time it's compounded. And you can see those results now where like the team does suffer when he's in the team, when he's captaining the team, whatever it is.
I guess before we move to like Dhoni and like comparing that, I just again like what are these saying? Like just comparing this scenario, like it has happened once in the past in India, which is when Anil Kumble became captain, because in India needed a stopgap after Dravid, and like they didn't know where to go, and while they were figuring out their next captain, it was Kumble who took over for that short period. But again, like of course he did the difficult job. Again, Kumble's team went to Australia, like we went to like difficult places and played. But the one thing I think I'll say is like even if you're a captain who's coming towards the end of his career and you're becoming India captain, you have to show character, bro. Like if you don't have character, there's no way like you will succeed. I think Kumble, although like he barely captained the team, whenever he did, like it was he was there for his team. Even when India was struggling in Australia, even when like the whole monkey gate thing was going on and there was poor umpiring, Steve Buckner and all of that, came out quite boldly in the press conferences and said that backed his team and said that this is not how it's done. Like it's just not done. They're not playing in the spirit of the game, like or whatever. And you need a captain who has that to come out and say those things to the media, especially in Australia. And I think Rohit Sharma hasn't done that. The second you go and say like Siraj may have crossed the line or you're hinting towards the fact that your guy was at the wrong, you're already not backing your players. I think that itself you're losing a battle there. And yeah, now just getting to whether he has been the worst in the modern, like you said, Rishi, like compare to Dhoni. Of course, Dhoni in his first few years, again, like to be fair to Rohit, Dhoni still had a good 3 years of Tendulkar, Dravid, Ganguly, not Ganguly, Tendulkar, Dravid, and Lakshman, right? 3 years, 4 years, solid. Went through a huge transition after that. Very hard to replace. I completely agree. Can you make the same argument for Rohit to almost say that the current team where they've lost now Rahane Pujara, they are also going through like a sort of transition and they've lost the best Virat Kohli, um, or the best version of him in the last couple of years. They may have lost the best version of Rohit Sharma himself. So can you almost say that even these guys are going through a transition?
Like, how much of the best version of Rohit Sharma really did play for the
Let's
test
let's
side?
keep Rohit. Okay, let's keep Rohit Sharma aside. Let's talk Pujara, Rahane, and Kohli.
Like, I agree in the sense that Rahane and Pujara are like irreplaceable for our team. Like, at least when we travel away, I feel these two were our backbones. Like Virat used to get the runs, and I feel Chiteshwar Pujara is what used to drive the bowlers to the ground. I feel one of like we are like there are two Pujara and Rahane sized holes in our team, and I like that is very concerning. So had they been there this time, will things be different? Maybe from a batting perspective, sure. They you can't say that okay things would have been the same. Like we would have gotten skittled every every session we would have lost 4 5 wickets. No, I don't think so. Like of course they're seasoned veterans, they would have shown more character, but then the way we conduct ourselves on the field, like the way like that day and night difference was there, like right in this series. Like the first test we were up for it,
Yeah.
like the first test we wanted to get in their faces, we wanted to prove a point. Like we were coming off of a heavy series defeat, like the first time we lost a home series in 12 years. For the first time we got whitewashed at home in a long time, and it looked like we had a point to prove. It looked like we had some, like this was actually the intent that was promised to us. Like we backed our intent talk on the field. And fast forward to the second test, where are we? We're back to square one, like where we dropped off, like in the New Zealand series. I think we picked up right from there, like our same lethargic attitude, our not, I wouldn't say our ignorance, but it seemed like we'd lost that little bit of our spark. I think that pretty much sums up how we've played our test cricket, no? Like because I think the distinct memory of me under Virat Kohli was the fire, was the passion that okay, we're not gonna get trodden upon by players, we're not gonna get bullied by the big boys, we're gonna go up there and play them toe to toe. I feel that is one aspect that we have completely lost. And even though we have lost big players, I feel Test cricket as a whole, I feel we have become a big name. We have some of the best players in who play Test cricket, and like in our side. And I feel that was not the case under our former captains. Like I feel Virat, when he took over, we did not have the greatest of test sides. Like same with Dhoni. Like okay, we had Sachin, we had say Kumble for India and Harbhajan in India, but again we lacked severely in our pace department. And in our batting also, once like our big four retired, like we had a huge job. But then I feel at that same time, like England had their quality players, Australia had their golden generation, who also transitioned pretty well into that new look Australia team. Like even South Africa was still getting into their golden age. So I feel we weren't at a place where we can clearly say, okay, dude, like maybe if we don't, we're not the first, we're not the best, we are clearly the second best. I feel this is a situation where we can say, okay, on paper, this is supposed to be the second best team. On paper, we are supposed to, like, even if not win, we are supposed to go toe to toe and fight against
Mm.
teams. I feel that is my biggest concern under Rohit Sharma captaincy, because we have the potential, we have the players. For XYZ reasons, they don't seem to perform, but I can't say the same thing with probably any other captains under like under any other captains for India.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, Adi. Yeah.
Bro, the thing with the transition thing, I don't think Rohit Sharma under his captaincy we are going through a transition per se. Because the thing is, I feel like right now in the world, India still has the best squad, talent, everything in the world. Like, look at any other team. Look at the team he has to face. Like, you look at the New Zealand team where we had who came home. Like, they are in the same New Zealand squad. They're the team who are actually going through a real transition because a lot of players are not available and they're not playing Test cricket like Bolt, etc. And you go to South Africa, you don't have the same team there. You look at England, they're also in a very, very big transition phase. West Indies, they've also gone down. Sri Lanka, you can see how different Sri Lanka look. Their entire squad is like always so, you know, different every time you watch them play. So it's like right now India is the only team that has the best talent. To be fair, it's the easiest job to have in a sense of you have the best talent pool, you have the best facilities in the world, you have every backing under the sun. So like if you have everything as a captain, you really can't sit and say that I'm in transition phase or I'm fighting against the world with very less resources, because it's not true, especially with the Indian cricket team. Even if like for example you have guys like Gill injured, India's the only team who can get a very quality replacement for him in the batting order. and you still have a lot of talent pool there. You still have Pujara Rahane still playing cricket. It's not like we've lost them, as a player who's retired from cricket. Overall, India still has the best talent in that sense. And I feel like it's just majorly a philosophical issue in Test cricket, because when Kohli came in, he assured that they were going to play a certain brand of cricket in Test cricket, which was, different from the previous regime under Dhoni. And it worked to a great extent. India were the best Test cricket team for a long period of time. And then, Rohit Sharma comes in. It's a totally different team. Like, it's drastically changed. Like, the way they try to play cricket doesn't make sense to me in Test cricket. As we talk about, like, again, like if you're telling, we lost Rane Pujara, in terms of talent, we still got a, a almost, like, if you want to talk about Gill, talent wise, he's much ahead of Pujara in terms of just pure talent, in my opinion. It's not like we had a different dynamic between the old player versus our replacement. I think both of them are equally, talented players. Even after Kohli, we have players like, you know, we could have used players like KL Rahul at a point of time. We have Pant, who is still a good player there. So I feel like with the Indian team, we always had good caliber players. It's just that once Rohit Sharma came as a captain, it's just a matter of, do they respect the Test cricket enough? Do they respect the 5 days enough? Because at the end of the day, you get 5 days. I look at the way India played in the first Test series. You could look at them like, okay, we have 5 days to play this game. We had a terrible first innings. We still have three more innings to come back into the game, and they were able to come back to the game. And that's the thing with Rohit Sharma. I don't think that the philosophical, you know, stance is there where like we respect, 5 days. We're here to play all 5 days if we have to. No matter what the situation is, we can have players who are going to be game winners from the batting perspective, especially because the amount of crumbles I've seen from Indian innings in the batting recently is I've never seen that with the amount of talent you have. So I just think it comes down to like, what's the philosophy of India? Like, does Rohit Sharma have a game plan? Does he give confidence to players going into the game saying, okay, this is what we want to do, and we'll be able to back that? Like, you just don't have it.
I said I just think I agree, and I think like it's hard times for Rohit Sharma, and I think he has been called out as well. It's only interesting to see how far this goes, especially with the you could see almost the contrast in Bumrah's game where he captained the team and then Rohit Sharma's. So, and when you have somebody waiting in the wings like Bumrah, who's going to probably play for the next 5 years at least, I think maybe it could be time for Rohit to step down, or maybe he would be forced to. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Please let us know, guys, in the comments if you think there has been a worse captain in the modern era than Rohit Sharma, or where Rohit Sharma stands right now at the moment in Indian cricket. Do you think we need a change in captaincy and all of that? Always do like and share the video. Subscribe to Sports Khabri. Yep, and we'll see you soon.